So next conference, I really thank you very much to come from Berlin and to we will be CryptoPlaza very close working with the last years with token engineering. I think probably is the best research I don't know research company or community probably would be community in terms of tokenomics. So right now I think I invite you. Our community are a lot of people who right now has the token engineering certificate. But I think it's very important in order to create a sustainable company. So thank you for all the research that you do for all the ecosystem, and congrats for all your work.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Jesus, for inviting me. Thanks for having me today. I think we need maybe a moment to see our slides. In the meantime, I'll tell you a little bit about token engineering. This was a perfect sequence of talks because Tokenomics is a perfect example was token engineering can be mechanism design. You built on your own experience, saw the problem to solve, then built a mechanism or an interesting idea for a mechanism and merged it with the decentralized solvers and get to a product at this stage. And you also talked about the challenge in security, robustness of this mechanism, which ultimately can never be 100%, but you can dig or simulate what happens in your system to foresee vulnerabilities and foresee imbalances. And that's a great example, actually. So thanks. Now, yeah, a moment. Okay. Has anyone heard of token engineering yet? Yes. Oh, awesome. Amazing. Yeah. So for those who haven't heard of token engineering, we consider it a new crypto-native discipline. It combines computer science and cryptography with economics, game theory, mechanism design, algorithmic mechanism design. We can digitally encode the rules of the game, so to say. We combine it with data science and AI because we have data about economic systems at a granularity like never beforehand. We can monitor systems. We can build controllers to optimize them. And we can combine this, or we do combine this with governance, which is another layer of innovation for the good and the bad. This is about voting, social choice, etc., and based on tokens. And this is a combination of fields where we, on one hand, can draw from many existing disciplines, which is very good. We can build on knowledge that's already there. On the other hand, you can't study this combination of fields nowhere, on no university. And seeing this back in 2020, we decided to start our own program, to start offering education in token engineering. And this was the start of Token Engineering Academy. We've launched the first program in 2022, last year. And let's take a look at how this program looks like. This is the combination of fields. I just talked about it. And TE Fundamentals, this is the first bachelor level program in token engineering, combining these fields, has been launched in 2022. It's 5 modules. It's an online program. We wanted to have as many people studying this and offer this to people around the globe. And in fact, we have students from 21 time zones. Module 1 is a general introduction in the potential of the field and understanding of what Web3 business modeling actually is, including an overview on the token engineering design process, on crypto-economic systems, on the governance challenge, governance tokens. Then module 2 is about requirements engineering, so how this is pretty much, I mean, it's very close to what engineering is when it comes to mechanical, chemical engineering. You collect the requirements and then translate it into the system requirements, the system properties you'd like to see, and then you start translating this into metrics and into a mathematical language in the design process, step 3. So you start designing algorithms that represent the properties you've defined in the requirements phase. And in module 4, you start verifying this. So this is about robustness, about understanding if, because this is non-linear, it's not that you change a value here in the beginning and then you have a certain outcome at the very end. Since it's economic systems, it's about how the agents behave in the system, be it machines or be it human beings. And this is A, not foreseeable, B, it's dynamic, so it changes over time. And C, we have usually multiple layers of mechanisms that are interconnected and affect each other. This is module 4, and module 5 is dedicated about algorithmic governance, token-based governance, and what we can draw from other fields like computational social choice. We launched this program together with CryptoPlaza, actually, and Consensus, Token Engineering Commons, and 1KX. And since in less than a year, actually, we had more than 3,000 students enrolled in this program, and until today, more than 1,000 exams passed. And these are not quizzes, this is bachelor level. So in total, we expect a 4-month learning time. People have to make time for this program. And it's a steep learning curve, even though I think we have a really good combination of backgrounds: economics, computer science, engineering, data science, mathematics. Still, you are lacking, no one covers the full set of background knowledge. If you are strong in math and can design an algorithm and test it, the business development, the business modeling might be new for you. Or if you're coming from engineering and are really familiar with simulations, the economic side, building an economy, inflation, deflation, is certainly new. And that's why we are really proud that we have so many students and also so many successful students. These are our partners. We collaborate with a range of VCs, with major protocols, mainly in the Ethereum space so far, layer 2s like Optimism, collaborating with ENS DAO recently, and also token engineering service providers, because of course they are spearheading the field, and we are observing closely what hits a demand and what is really relevant to be with our educational program as close to the actual needs and challenges that we see in crypto. Thought leaders, so this is our networks in terms of people, academic researchers, protocol researchers, Gauntlet, Mark from Carbon, Ethereum, Robust Incentive Group, Tokenomia Pro, Block Science, also founders of large protocols, and researchers as well. I think this is a very strong asset to have this community of practitioners in this field. Okay, let me now give you some examples of what token engineers do. I've mentioned Tokenomics, perfect example. Another one, I get to this in a moment. Actually, first, I stole a quote: provide trust through math. This is the essence of what token engineers do. We've just heard it at Theta's panel, and this is a brilliant, in a nutshell, description. And the challenge here is that we create software code and algorithms that define and regulate the action space of the agents in the system. And that means instead of ex post, we switch to ex ante enforcement. We have to foresee what the agents in the system will do, and we have to set boundaries, what they can do to make it robust and secure. And there's no room for ambiguity or flexibility like in other business relationships. And so to say, to enforce this, to enforce the rules, we replace contracts with software and with algorithms and have to make it efficient and attractive. And last but not least, secure these mechanisms and algorithms against attack. And this is a challenge. It's great fun, but it's definitely a challenge, and we can see this in attacks or also learnings that we see. I think MEV at the Ethereum network is a great example where you can't, the system works this way and you can't eliminate MEV, but you can deal with it in a way to make it secure, and in this case via rather a market design than a technical solution. But this is what I mean, secure against attack vectors. And it starts with designing a mechanism from scratch. Here's an example, Carbon. Maybe you've heard about this new. It's actually a protocol for automated trading strategies that is based on the new principles, which is asymmetric liquidity, meaning that buying and selling on a DEX is governed by two separate bonding curves and user-defined strategies. And this is a new concept. Carbon is basically a spin-out of Bancor, and they invented, so to say, AMMs back in 2017, then ran into, let's say, declining demand and market share, and came up with this new design. And the results so far are pretty promising, and it's again an innovation in the space. We had a talk with Mark at this image is taken at EFCC, where we organized a full day of examples of cases, projects, and how they are tackling token engineering. And in this talk, Mark not only shared the mechanism design itself, but also their journey for their product, because it is actually a big step to invent an entirely new mechanism, to shift from Bancor's old 2017 design to Carbon now 2023. And he also talked about how he was collaborating with researchers, how to get them on board, also how to shape and steer the collaboration between token engineering and software development, because smart contract developers, so does it tick slightly different, their job is slightly different, but you have to bring those two disciplines together at some point. And he, for example, built a simulator for the smart contract developers to help them to gain intuition of how the mechanism behaves, and this helped in the development process because they know and were able to quickly simulate how the actual what results the actual implementation should provide. And this is an important example of how token engineering and smart contract develops coexist and collaborate. And finally, also an element that is specific, we've heard about this particular aspect in crypto as well today, the governance. In this case, there is already a DAO that is taking decisions. It's also important to have the community of token holders, decision makers on board to provide the information they need, the education they need to then finally give the go to launch this new mechanism and to launch this new DEX. Another example of token engineering in practice is optimizing incentives. Here's an example. This was also at EFCC, and it's still ongoing. It's Gauntlet's project on optimizing incentive at Uniswap. And I think pretty much every single DEX aggregator is thinking about, okay, how can we win, how can we grow our ecosystem, how can we grow liquidity deficits and so on, and same to Uniswap. And the mission for Gauntlet was to find the most effective mechanisms and incentive designs. And they got a grant, I think it's 20 million in total for this whole mission. So what I'm trying to say here is Uniswap really invests in incentive optimization and is taking efforts. And for a brief overview of what they are doing, first they rated the potential of incentives starting with trader incentives. So can we offer traders rewards so that they trade on Uniswap? And a first estimate showed that the potential is significant. So there seemed to be a volume of 600 million in trades that is suboptimally directed through the DEXs or through DEXs overall, and that can be attracted, maybe potentially, by trader incentives. The second step is to find out what types of traders, what types of stakeholders do we have, and what actually motivates them. And here, an interesting insight was that actually from the 600 billions, only a small share is coming from retail investors. The rest is potentially rather whales and MEV traders. And here the situation is that learnings from other projects shows that one-off incentive to attract traders in this sector is hard. And there might be better strategies to achieve this. And the last one was to evaluate if there are other variants of rewards, like they now suggested to use liquidity mining, so slightly different mechanism, or a different mechanism indeed, and are now running experiments to not only in theory try to predict how an incentive would pay off, rather also test and verify this in practice. And this is a great example of how incentive optimization can work. You explore the potential, you understand the stakeholders or the target groups you're addressing, you find the right mechanisms to design the incentives, and then you test it out in simulations and in real life experiments, MVPs. Another example is managing risks and risk dashboards. Many of the big DeFi projects are running extensive risk analysis with third parties, providing risk dashboards on several metrics that are predefined, new that are developed over time, and intelligence under the hood to make it easy, in this case for the DAO decision makers, to take the next step and adapt, for example, fees or rates. And this was a sometimes slow process, Manuel mentioned beforehand, but it's a very important step. So overseeing the risk in the system and be able to react in case of emergencies, sometimes this is the case, or continuously optimize the protocol. And risk dashboards are definitely another element in the tool set of, or building in the service stack of token engineering. Blah. And just to put this in context with what does it mean to secure systems, like with the risk dashboards, there are several steps and several layers of securing a system. Some people are more familiar with, some less. It's certainly, security audits is probably one of the no-brainers whenever a protocol is launched or upgraded. The smart contracts are audited. Bugs and potential for exploits, also security measures in terms who can upgrade a protocol, etc. And then there are other testing methods that are mainly focusing on the software side, whereas token engineering is addressing the economic risks that are rather stemming from behavior or exploits through economic attacks. Bribing could be one example, or flash loans could be one example, also MEV. So behavior-driven attacks, and you can find them. Game theory and mechanism design is a great discipline to find them, but of course this takes efforts equally to software audits and software testing. And last but not least, handling complexity. This is a project of Token Engineering Academy that we've launched in April to explore how LLMs can support this process. So the idea is that no doubt LLMs seem to be really great in supporting human beings in the processes that we solve with pure code today. And there's a layer that seemed particularly interesting to us, which is running simulations and then adapting simulations. The process in token engineering is usually that you come up with the hypothesis, what you'd like to find out, a metric to observe, and then you build a model or use the existing protocol to run simulations, and this can be in the hundreds of thousands of simulations, and then get a result, draw conclusions, take the next step. And this takes time. And the potential or the hypothesis is that LLMs can make us faster in this process because we can interact in human language with a simulation, can use statistical methods, data science methods, and even machine learning methods to change the simulation or change the whole experimental setup for us. And humans then take the result and draw conclusions. And making this process faster would be a big benefit to the discipline, while we are saying the LLMs are strong in the computational part of this process, and humans have more bandwidth to reason about the strategical implications of the results, which is super important and sometimes gets lost in the efforts for building the simulations itself. And we call this CatCat GPT. It's built on top of CatCat, which is an open source framework, Python framework, to build token systems and simulate token systems. And we'll open source it actually on November 30th, next week. Click. Yeah, if you're interested to learn more about these topics, I invite you to subscribe to our weekly reads, which is a curated newsletter, everything about token engineering, from Web3 business models to interesting mechanism designs to the latest developments in the sector, and interesting verification security approaches. I'm not finished. I just wanted to give everyone the chance to scan the QR code, and let me finish with standards. Some brief words. Our latest initiative is a project together with Token Terminal, Artemis, Token Unlocks, and Messari. And this is about analyzing the network states, datasets, and analytics for token engineers. We know that some type of data, like transactions, is easy to get about crypto-economic systems, and some is really hard. Public market valuations in terms of valuations over time that includes public metrics, but also then fundraising data, private sales, to gain an understanding how a valuation evolves over time and what drives valuation. Then token supply, meaning total supply, unlocked supply, gaining a sufficient and correct, precise understanding of how many tokens have been issued for a certain protocol, how many are in circulation, beyond Twitter announcements, and also token vesting and distribution, tracking what's going on in a network in easy verifiable metrics, and also new vesting mechanisms. And this is just a first set of questions we have started to ask together with these partners. And we've published a report this week and will run an event on December 7th on this overarching mission of let's have better and more transparent data, and also more standardized reporting that is helping the projects to be transparent and helping investors and help all stakeholders in gaining confidence in the systems. That's it. Thank you so much.